everyone and welcome back to my channel. I know that exams are coming up really soon, and the one question that I get all the time is about memorization. It is really important now to be focusing on memorization and trying to get that information stuck in your head and to find ways to be able to retrieve that in exams. So I use a specific method. So this would work for anyone that's studying any sort of theoretical subject where you have to learn information, different methods, different pathways, especially my undergrad degree. I think different pathways definitely requires the use of this method. I'm going to start off with explaining what this method is and why we're going to use this method, and then I'm going to go on to explaining and demonstrating how I actually use this method with an example. The timestamps will be down below for those that want to jump and skip to a different section. So firstly, you only want to learn the relevant information. Bear in mind that you only have about a month-ish left till your exams. You don't want to be learning information that is irrelevant, that takes up space in your mind and that really wastes time. So this method really hones it down to very specific keywords. So you are targeting words that you would find in a mark scheme, and these are really important because like I said, I tutor, I've said this before, I tutor students, and students are aiming for A stars, A's, 8s, 9s, and I find the same thing. Their theory, their understanding is great, their knowledge is absolutely amazing, but when it comes to actually writing exam questions and answering questions, they lack when it comes to retrieving those keywords and being able to associate them to a specific topic. This method really targets those keywords. It also targets the mark scheme and the required terminology. Lastly, this method is really helpful with associating a topic. So if you ask a question that has a keyword or you know that topic, it helps to retrieve the information based on the few keywords that you are going to learn. Now ultimately, if you think about the way that our brain works, we have a brain. It's made up of lots of different compartments, and each of these compartments contain different bits of information, and one of them is our academic part, where we learn information purely to answer exam questions. A lot of this information we forget after a few weeks, months or years. A lot of it is sort of in compartments. So you'll have a block for science, you have a little block for maths, a block for English, a block for geography, etc, etc. And then within those blocks, so within science, you'll have biology, chemistry and physics. And then within those blocks, you have maybe slightly more overlapped blocks. So whereas biology, chemistry and physics are quite defined because they are quite different, within biology you might have cells and organisms, and then overlapping homeostasis, overlapping neuro, overlapping other topics. And then within those you have other topics. And the way that our brain works when it comes to answering questions in exams is you'll see the question with a specific topic in that question. So you'll know it's to do with hemoglobin, or you'll know it's to do with blood, or you'll know it's to do with the kidneys, etc. And you automatically direct your mind to that block. All of these information blocks are jam-packed with information, and it is really hard sometimes to retrieve the correct information and know what information is relevant for a particular question. And this method really helps to be able to just kind of have a trigger essentially. So you have these keywords that you know lead to a particular box, and then you're able to open that box and dig out all the information that you possibly need. So let's move on and see how we'd actually apply. The way you do this is you select a specific module. So let's say we're looking at cells and organisms in biology A level. You then break it down, and within that you have different topics. And the way that I would do this is by looking at my textbook. So you need to select a topic that is not too broad but also not too narrow. Today I want to focus on hemoglobin and show you how you potentially do this with hemoglobin. Now, one question I've seen in the past, how is hemoglobin involved in transporting oxygen around the body? Now it can be an 8-mark question. I've seen 8 points in a mark scheme, an A-level mark scheme. So once you've picked a topic, for example hemoglobin, you then write a paragraph, I would say about 5 to 6 lines. If it's more than that, then it's probably too big of a topic. So 5 to 6 lines on that topic. So for hemoglobin, you write about what it does, its structure, how oxygen binds, the concentration gradient, how it releases, the difference between adult and fetal hemoglobin as well, because that's usually quite a popular kind of comparison that you might be asked about. And then lastly, I'd also draw in the hemoglobin oxygen dissociation and association curves. That would be the information that I know that I need to know about hemoglobin. Right, now I've done that, so I now need to cut that paragraph into half. For example, the word association absolutely must be there. The word concentration gradient absolutely must be there. the word affinity should be there. So once I've done that, I've now cut it into half. I would then cut it into half again. Now by this point, you should have underlined the most important keywords, or even highlighted the most important keywords. You started off with the main paragraph, including everything. You then cut it down to about 2 sentences. You then want to cut it down to a few keywords, and those are the keywords that you are going to associate with hemoglobin. So as soon as you see hemoglobin in an exam, you should be thinking affinity, concentration gradient, fetal, what the difference is, etc. So those keywords are then going to lead you back to that initial paragraph that you learned. And what this does is it means that you're not trying to memorize paragraphs, because paragraphs, you can't memorize everything. But you can memorize a few keywords and associate that with hemoglobin to then be able to retrieve it when you see that in the exam, and then be able to write that out in full sentences in the exam. I'd also recommend memorizing diagrams. I think they're much easier to memorize. Now, I completely appreciate that you might not have enough time to do this with every single topic and every single subject that you have to learn. You should be able to kind of predict which topics could be asked for a 5 or 6 mark question. The mark scheme says it's a 3-mark question, and then they've got 6 points that they say 6 max. That means that that question could be a 6-marker question, because there are 6 different points. So I'd memorize all of those keywords and associate that to that. Do let me know if you think this might help you, and if you have tried something like this before. It's definitely the technique that I used all throughout university. I would say just kept on writing everything out. By the end of it, I had memorized all the keywords that I needed, and it was really easy to just know what it was that I wanted to get out when it came to the questions in the exam. Please don't stress out, you'll be absolutely fine. Good luck with revision and good luck with your exams. Time will fly super quickly and you'll be out on the other side and free, I promise. Best feeling in the world is finishing that last exam and just having the whole summer to enjoy. So don't worry about it, you'll definitely get there. Don't forget to follow me on my socials. I've changed my handles for everything to Dr. Amina. So please go and follow me on those socials, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.